Welcome to the Silhouettes of Success podcast with your host, successful entrepreneur, broker, and business mentor, Amber Weitzer. Because success comes in all shapes, sizes, and styles, the Silhouettes of Success podcast is shining the light on industrious women with a collection of curated conversations of intentional inspiration designed to inspire your heart, ignite your mind, feed your soul, and gift you with actionable insights directly from inspirational, everyday women who've shown tenacity, grit, and grace, having taken on the challenges in their lives and business and won. Remarkable, down-to-earth, and relatable, Amber and her guests will share with you uplifting and extraordinary real-life success stories, motivational ideas that just might help spark something within you. With the deepest desire to serve you, help you grow so you can begin to shine the light that will illuminate your very own silhouette of success. So, let's get to it.
Hello and welcome to the Amber Weitzer podcast, Silhouettes of Success. Our VIP featured guest is a CEO and founder of The Grown Ass Business, where she guides entrepreneurs through her proprietary methodology, Key Growth Systems, to build strong business foundations. She was recognized as a top coach by The Upside in 2024. With an impressive educational background, including 2 bachelor degrees, an MBA, a Master of Divinity, and 2 additional certificates, she brings a wealth of knowledge to her coaching practice. She has diverse experiences. She was a professional tango dancer. She was in the fashion industry, and coupled with her background from Argentina, she is just so phenomenal. So we want to bring her on and let her share her silhouette of success story. Silhouettes. Let's welcome Celi Arias to the show. Hello, Celi. How are you?
I am good. How are you?
I am fantastic. Thank you. Thank you. It is so wonderful to be with you in this new year as you share your silhouette of success story. So once again, welcome.
Thank you. I'm excited. I'm excited to have this conversation. And it's a great way to start a new year. So, yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's all about you. So I always enjoy, and I have come to get feedback that the audience loves to have this. And we want to start by having you share with our audience a little bit about your background. So talk to us.
Sure. I am from South America. So, I am Latina. I was an immigrant to this country. I moved here when I was 6 years old. And when I was quite young, at around the age of 10, I decided I really wanted to take ballet, and my mother had recently divorced and couldn't really afford for me to take ballet, and I think I also just felt bad asking for anything. So I started my first business when I was around 10 or 11, and I started a babysitting business because I was an avid reader and I read The Babysitter's Club. And I thought, well, I could do that. So I started my first business when I was a kid, and it wasn't like I had an odd babysitting job here and there. I started a full-on business, and I ran that through college, and went to a dance studio and signed myself up for ballet. And that's actually how I became a professional dancer. Was I kind of worked and paid my way through dance school, and then got different dance scholarships along the way. So I always joke that I say this to a lot of people. I think if you are entrepreneurial, if you look back into your childhood and your personality and how you probably chose to figure things out for yourself or solve a problem that no one else seemed to be solving, you probably were wired that way from a young age, and you probably have been entrepreneurial for a long time, because I always say I've been in business for over 25 years, and people are like, that's not possible. You don't look that old. And I'm like, no, it's actually really true. So yeah, that's the beginnings.
So, there's, like you said, there's probably a wiring in there in the DNA, or, that you were called to do that. You're just called to find a way and make a way and be resourceful to achieve a goal. So we're going to dive into some goals, goal opportunities here in a little bit. The alarm clock goes off and your work or business day begins, what's a day in the life look like for you? Do you crave structure with a routine? Are you more spontaneous? Are you a combination? Talk to us.
I'm a combination. So I crave structure with now the understanding that structure is meant to be broken.
Ah.
And it's complex, but I think that I created a lot of structure for myself when I was younger, and I would beat myself up if I didn't have the perfect day, right? If I didn't
Mhm.
tick every box and do everything in the way that the structure was set up to be done. But now I have a newborn, for example. So it's like, well, there goes that structure out the window. What I've come to accept is like, I crave structure like most creatives actually do because it's a safety box, but it's absolutely also okay when something happens and you can't stick to the black and white. It has to be done this way. I no longer beat myself up if something has shifted or changed. And I'm actually in this process of embracing flow and what flow looks like. That doesn't mean distraction. Now, that doesn't mean I scroll or allow myself to be distracted by tasks that are unimportant to my bigger goals, right? But it just means that I don't beat myself up if I didn't do my perfect to do list day the way I had maybe set out to do, if that makes sense.
Well, so I guess what I'm going to take away from that, since you're the coach, is that maybe it's okay to color outside the lines a
Absolutely.
little bit.
Absolutely.
Yes,
I think
give us
that's
grace.
entrepreneurship. Yeah, give
Yes.
yourself some grace. I think look, I am a business coach. I create a lot of structure for my clients. Most of my clients, even the ones you consider that are in non-creative fields, most entrepreneurs are creative. Most visionaries are creative. Even if you are an accountant, if you've created a business, you're probably always thinking about new services and new ways of talking about it or approaching your clients differently, right? So you're always building and creating. So I create a lot of structure for people and a lot of very, very, very simple structure because ultimately structure is calming to your nervous system, right? If you wake up in the day and go, I have a plan, I know what I'm doing today, I know what I need to get done today. There's something really calming about that. And if my nervous system is calm for the day, then I can probably tackle the things I need to tackle in a productive way rather than a stressful way. Now, that doesn't mean, oh, for example, today, I had a very planned out, plotted out day, was feeling really, really great. And then somebody that was supposed to come by my house tomorrow decided he needed to come by today to check our windows for windproofing. Because again, I have a newborn and this crazy winter wind where I live is keeping him up at night and during nap times, which is a no-no if anybody has babies. And so I was like, sure, I have 3 podcast interviews today, so you can only come in my house at this time. But it throws off my day. I'm not panicked about it, right? Because I still, at the end of the day, there is a backdrop of a plan that I know what needed to get done today, and I can still figure out how to get it done today.
When you talk about the entrepreneurial spirit and given the business, and we're going to talk about your business here in depth, give you time to put the spotlight on it, if you will. Who do you think most influenced, or what do you think influenced you as you embarked upon the career path that you're on?
Oh, originally, I was always inspired by wanting to do something differently or make something easier or fix something that was broken. So, all my previous businesses, if you think about it, when I was younger, I started a babysitting business because I wanted to fix a problem in my life without having to ask my mom for money, right? In my early 20s, after studying dance, I went and studied fashion design and was learning tango in Argentina and I saw a problem. I saw young people starting to dance tango and it becoming cool and trendy, but there were no clothes for that younger demographic. And I also came from the US where I grew up wearing activewear. So I created a clothing line that was very modern in design but infused with activewear technology, which was, by the way, before athleisure really ever became a thing, because this was about 20 years ago now, more than 20 years ago. And I always saw an opportunity to fix a problem. That's how I first approached business, was what's inspiring me and what problem can I fix? And that's kind of the fun creator in me. Today, I am focused on how do I build a business that I love or that you love in the simplest possible way so that I can also enjoy my life. So today I'm in a phase in life where I'm actually learning and teaching from my mistakes. Because in the beginning, I always created businesses based on I'm just going to fix this problem and everything else will work itself out, right? And now I've made 20 years worth of mistakes to go, yes, let's fix the problem and let's do it in a way that serves your life and makes you feel great about you and your business.
How do you get unstuck to maybe break through a seeming barrier between you and a goal or a dream? Do you have any key tactics that you would like to share?
Oh yeah, I think that's such a good question and that's a really important question. I think about my clients a lot because we are just a mirror. Our clients are often mirroring back to us because sometimes we teach the thing that we need to learn, right? So whenever I am actually stuck, I know what doesn't work for me. So I know the traditional answer might be like, go outside, take a walk, move your body, do things that make you feel good, all of that stuff, right? But for me, I'm a very heady person. And so I know that when I'm starting to either feel stuck or if you know that little anxious feeling you start to feel in your
Mm-hmm.
chest, like that
Yeah.
the tightness in your chest of when you're feeling a little anxious or if you're feeling a little nervous in your stomach or you feel it in your body, I know that I am mentally spiraling myself into a corner where I cannot see a way out. And I'm a very, very heady problem solver. So when I get into that place, I actually call somebody who I've now hired in my business, which is a funny story. But I have an online business bestie who I always joke she's my brain twin. And I would call Diane and say, I have mentally cornered myself into a corner. What am I not seeing here? And she'll just give me a different perspective. Because a lot of times when we're stuck, it's just that we are believing one reality. But we actually live in a world of multiple realities, multiple possible realities. When we feel stuck, it's only because I'm only believing there's this one way forward. And if I can't make that one way forward work, I've hit a wall. So, what you need to do in those moments are how do I reverse and see the other paths? And sometimes I have to talk to a different person who I trust and respect and think is smarter than me or as smart as me just to get me to see a different way. She might be right and she might not be right. But the point is that she gets me to like back up a little bit, see different paths and go, oh, yes, I just cornered myself into a wall. There are a lot of different ways. And that's ultimately why I think you need a coach. I also have a coach and I have a mentor and I also go to him for these things. But I used to think people don't need coaches, even though I was a coach. Many, many years ago, I used to say, oh, if I just give you the tools and the strategies, you're good to go. But that's not actually true. We need coaches and we need mentors and we need support because we are the thing that ultimately gets in our own way. And so my thing is always like, I'm not going to do some, feel good in my body tactic necessarily. If I'm really, really stuck, I'm going to go to somebody who can help me see a different perspective.
It's so ironic that you shared that because one of the next questions is, as an independent business owner, where do you find support?
Yeah.
Ta-da! There we go.
Ta-da,
We're
there
in
we go.
sync.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love
I
it.
mean, they always say, like, don't hire a coach who doesn't have a coach, or
Right.
don't go to
Yeah.
a therapist who doesn't have a therapist. I have an amazing mentor who I respect his integrity and his come from, and he's years ahead of me in his coaching business. So I have a person that I can go to. And I also did a funny thing this year, which you know how a lot of times experts in a certain field wish they could hire themselves. Like I've been saying for a long time, sometimes I wish I had a Celi, I had a me in my business, right? And one day I stopped and thought, Well, I have this friend of mine we always joke we're brain twins and we think a lot alike. And one day I went to her and I said, can I hire you? Can you, because I do this for other people. I have many, many clients go through my accelerator program at a time. I have many clients in my advanced program at a time. I am the back pocket strategy and mindset resource to a lot of people. And I always say, I wish I had a Celi in my business. So I went to the person that I always joke with that thinks like me. And I said, can I hire you to be a Celi back to me? And so we worked out a way that she's basically kind of my chief of staff now. And I will pose an idea or I'll show her my to-do list for the day. And I tell her, you have full permission to give me very direct feedback the way Celi does for her clients. You have full permission to just don't hold back, no filter, but that's how I like it. And she'll like tear apart my to-do list. She'll just say, no, you're not doing that today. No, this isn't important right now. No, this is the priority. And she'll see things that I can't see for myself. And so basically I fulfilled my dream of finally hiring a me for myself. And that's who I go to is like, she's like, I was like, you have no filter, no restraints. Don't worry about hurting my feelings. Like this morning we were talking on a call and she's like, you're going to get out of your pajamas for your interviews today, right? Like, she's like, I don't have any nice way to say it. And I was like, don't be nice. Girl, if you see that I'm still in my pajamas and I have interviews today, you should be the person that tells me. So I think you need to for me, it was finding somebody that could be as direct as I like to be for my clients. I always tell my clients, there will be a lot of times in our journey together that you will love me. And there will be a lot of times in our journey that you will not like me very much. And I'm okay with both. Because it's not my job to be liked by you. It is my job to do what you hired me to do, which is grow your business. And there will be days where you don't like me very much, and that's okay.
Touching back a little bit on what you talked about with having the plan and then maybe things might not go according to plan, like the window guy or the technology or
Yeah.
or just the different things like that you talked about. How do you recharge and rest your mindset after maybe in an emotionally exhausting situation, again, especially in the line of work that you are, because you are, as you said, you're in the back pocket, or you are that sounding board, and you do have to stay true to yourself and your clients for what they hired you. So how do you kind of rest and recharge?
For me, it's the things that really make me feel good. And I think the important thing is you have to find that for yourself. So I am a total book nerd. So for me, this might sound like, ugh, gross. But for me, rest and recharge is reading a really nerdy book, either about theology or business or philosophy. That feeds my soul and feeds my heart and feeds my brain. And if I'm a little bit overwhelmed with business, I will go and read something totally different. So I won't necessarily read a business book. But for me, reading is a recharge. For me, one of my favorite things in the world are saunas. And so a few years ago, I told my then boyfriend, who's now my husband, I was like, all I want for Christmas and for the several Christmas coming is I want a sauna. I was like, this can be my Christmas present for years to come. But I want to be able, because I live in a very rural area, so I don't have a gym near me that has like a pool or a sauna or anything. But I want a sauna. So I go and get in the sauna and sweat it out. But that's something that feels really good to my body. Sometimes when I'm really drained and exhausted and depleted, I used to be a professional dancer, but sometimes working out isn't the thing that refills me. I know that it is for a lot of people. But if I'm feeling really depleted, the last thing I want to do is like push myself in a workout. But I can definitely sit in a sauna and sweat it out.
Love that. Release those toxins, girl.
Yes. Yes. And then make
Release
sure
it.
to drink water,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
definitely
Hydration.
sauna.
Hydration. What positive adjustments have you made in your life or your environment that do help to support your growth, goals, and dreams?
Definitely biting the bullet, paying a little more and hiring the right people on my team. That's been a big one for me is finally being in the place in my business where I was like, okay, the only way I'm going to grow is by hiring the actual supportive team. So doing that, shortening my day, ironically. I am a workaholic. I just wrote some content about this yesterday, so it's very fresh in my mind, but I'm a self proclaimed and confessed workaholic. I love working and I love my business and I love my clients. But having a baby has forced me to really shorten my working hours and also means I can't work on the weekends. So I can really only work when I have some daytime support in my home. But that constraint has been really valuable because it's forced me to shut down things that weren't serving my business. It's forced me to say no to coffee chats that are just, people trying to pick my brain for free. It's caused me to say no to speaking opportunities that maybe aren't for an ideal audience for me or that are asking me to travel really far and be away from my home, but for no real exchange. So it's forced me to say no to a lot of things, and that's a blessing in disguise when you have to say no to things because it gets you laser focused on what is really important to get done. If your day is a 9 to 5 or a 9 to 4, like mine, which by the way, my day used to be 7 to 7, and I was happy with that. But now I'm a 9 to 4 kind of girl. So I have to really say no to things and get focused on what's important to my business and what moves the needle for me and for my clients.
Gotta narrow in on that, trim the fat, as they say on the schedule. Good for you. All right, so let's put the spotlight on you and your business, grown ass business. Dive into the inspiration that led you to launch the business. Share some opportunities with us that maybe as our listeners are engaging, and when we share your contact information at the end, they might want to reach out to you, which I'm confident they will. Talk to us about your business.
Yeah, so I've been a business coach for probably about 8 years. Before that, I was also a COO to a tech startup, and like I mentioned, I've had a lot of experience as a founder, but also as a COO or sales lead to a founder. So I was a head coach for a different company for a few years, and what I noticed in that experience was often my high six-figure earners who are right knocking on the door of seven figures, which is what I like to do, right? Is how do I get you from six figures to seven figures? I found that they always believed the problem was some bigger, complex thing they didn't know how to fix. And I found over and over and over and over again, every time I got people past the seven figure mark, I would look back and go, what was it? What did we do? What did we fix that got them over to the seven figure mark? And it was always something really foundational and, dare I say, basic. So when I was in that world as a head coach, it was just something I started noting down. Like, I got this client to seven figures, and this is what we fixed. And I got this client to seven, and this is what we fixed. And I started noting for myself the patterns of what were the things that actually moved the needles in businesses. And then on top of that, I noticed a limitation in the coaching program that I worked for, which was I was noticing in people I can give you the tools and tactics and strategies all day long. And if you don't understand your own mind and how you are going to get in the way of that, it will be very hard for us to move forward. And I wanted to understand this better and understand why people get in their own way. So I pursued a mindset certification outside of that job. And once I pursued the mindset certification, in my brain, I started connecting okay, here are the strategy pieces that are often the missing links to a seven figure business. And now I can combine that with mindset. And the company I was working at the time wasn't really interested in that. So I was like, okay, I will go build my own company where I can create a methodology that gives you the exact systems and strategy that you need to grow a business and then also addresses this, what I call the sixth growth engine or sixth sense, if you will, which is mindset. And that is how my business and methodology was born. Noticing a need in my previous job and wanting to create a more simple and more direct path for business owners.
Outstanding. Again, there you are solving the problem.
I know. See, I know. I was like, because I didn't like, my
Yeah.
business model is really different too. So a lot of business coaching programs out there, look, I've been on the back end of it, and their whole thing is like, let's figure out how to keep clients in our programs forever. I think
Yes.
there's something wrong with that. I
Agree.
didn't feel comfortable upselling people into year 2 and year 3 and year 4. So my methodology is completely different. My methodology is I'm going to teach you all the secrets. I'm going to give you the keys to the castle. I'm going to pull back the blinds and I'm going to show you how business works. I'm going to show you how strategy works. And I'm going to get you to think about this ultimately for yourself. My clients, I would say they end up becoming the head strategists of their own business. And that's when I know I've done a good job. So I don't keep people in my programs really typically for over a year. I have an accelerator that's only 6 weeks. And then after that, people can come work with me in an advanced setting for 6 months. And then they have the option to stay. And I just think this is more honest and in integrity with my values, which is I'm going to give you the keys to the castle because I ultimately want you to be a self sufficient CEO. And I want you to have a grown ass business and not be codependent on me. Because if I do that for you, you're going to send me other people and you're going to talk about me in a way that sends people my way. I don't need to keep making you believe that you need me forever in order for your business to work.
You're passing the light on.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
are,
yeah.
and you said it, the integrity, and when you're transparent and you do share versus holding back out of fear and hanging on to it, I mean, the loyalty is just there because they see the results, and that's just what makes it go round and round. Ay, ay, ay. Good for you.
Totally. I believe in it. And at first when
Yeah.
I set up my structure this way, a lot of my colleagues and friends were like, "What are you doing? 6 months? No, your advanced program needs to be a year. You need to upsell it
I,
people into a year." And I was like, you know what? I'm going to listen to my gut here. I don't want to. I don't want to force people into a year program. If I can get you results in 6 months, why would I do that? But what's interesting is my clients in my advanced program, which is the Grown Ass Business CEO, we call it GAB CEO for short, they renew anyway without me asking them to. We do a progress report at the 6 months and we show them their progress report. We show them all the areas that they've grown. We show them their new business score. We have this whole system for it. And then they go, "Oh, yeah, can I do another 6 months? I'm staying." I don't even have to upsell them. And that's the irony is most of my clients stay in that program for 2 to 3 rounds. So they stay for a year and a half anyway, but it's not from this place of me forcing them into a year-long program. And god damn, that feels good. It just
it's
makes
a
me feel
reciprocal
really good.
value. Yeah, it's a respect, and yes, because that's truth and authenticity for you to do what you're doing because that's who you are. Good for you. All right, I have to say, I'm watching the clock. I'm going to keep us on time because I heard you had other appointments today. So, so I am going to forego a couple of things because I really want to dive into a little bit more here about you. So, when do you feel your greatest sense of satisfaction?
For me, it's twofold. Seeing my client results is probably my greatest satisfaction. Like, I just got a text, a Voxroom note from a client this morning saying, "Oh, I've been doing the thing you said and it's working." I have one client who always writes me messages like, "Holy shit, it works." That's our tagline. So for me, my deepest satisfaction is when clients grow revenue in their business and they come to me like, "Oh, that strategy we set out to do, it's working." So that is the thing I live for. That's my dopamine button. And I think on a deeper level, knowing every day that I am living in my purpose is my deepest satisfaction. So I truly believe that if you are a human in a human body and you've been given the gift of life, you're meant to do something here. And it might not be entrepreneurship, and that's totally okay. But there's nothing like kind of finding that something that's the thing that allows you to share your gifts with people and that's what you're doing with your day to day. I can't imagine a life more fulfilling than that. So whether my business does well or not, I mean, having a baby last year meant I, stagnated in revenue rather than grew. And this year, I'm launching a few new things, and I don't know if they're real revenue growth, but they're more like allow me to have family time, right? But it doesn't really matter if I am living on purpose. And that is the most satisfying thing for me.
Love that. So going back to something you mentioned earlier, so again, poetic that we are in sync on this. We all crave great resources that might help inspire, uplift, or expand our minds. And I always tease, sometimes just get us through the day. Do you have a favorite book or resource or something that you'd want to share with the audience?
So those are going to be funny answers. My resource, I would say I've created something that I'm really proud of, which is the order of growth. So I've created a visual chart to understand the stages of growth in business. And it's one of my foundational teachings and something I'm writing a tiny book on right now, actually. So I will share that with
Cool.
you when it's done. So that I can share. Understanding the stages of growth in business and understanding where you are is really powerful because then you understand what you actually need to be working on to get yourself to the next stage. That is a resource that I've built and I'm really proud of. And for me, honestly, my go-to to a resource that fills me up is probably sometimes the Bible or Rumi poetry.
Love it.
So two very, very, that's like how my brain works is like I'm very systematized and structured. And then I love Rumi poetry. That fills me up.
Fabulous. All right, my lady, it has been awe-inspiring and exciting and fun visiting with you today. As we begin to wrap up, keeping the promise with the audience to share intentional inspiration, do you have a piece of key go-to advice or a favorite quote that you would want to share with us?
It can always be easier than you're making it.
Mm,
That is my own reminder to my clients and to myself.
kind of got to let that one sink in for a second.
Yeah. It's always
Love that.
easier than you're making it.
Fantastic. Oh, my lady, time has flown, but the stage is now completely yours. Where can our audience go to find and connect with you, whether it be on your socials or contact information to support you and your continued success?
Yeah, the easiest place to find me is probably on Instagram. Celi Grows Business is my handle. So that's CELI Grows Business. And there you can see all these resources I've created and how to talk to me. And I am the person who manages my Instagram. So if you want to chat with me, that's the easiest way.
Fantastic. And she also, audience, if you were listening and tuned in, she's got maybe a new little book coming and
Oh,
several new
yeah.
resources this year. So we'll have to touch base with you again and do a part two.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. Let's talk about
Very
the book
cool.
in a few months. Yeah.
That's right. That's right. Well, keep us updated. All right, my lady, it has been a sheer joy and pleasure connecting with you as you shared your silhouette of success story. You are true light. Thank you for your time. And I look forward to watching what you've got going on this year.
Thank you. Thanks
All
so much.
right.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. All right, my lady, until next time.
Okay.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Silhouettes of Success podcast. If you enjoyed the show, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on all the new episodes. We are here for you and with you. We encourage you to share this podcast on all your socials and pass on the light to help illuminate another silhouette of success. To find out the latest ways to inspire your heart, ignite your mind, and gain actionable insights, subscribe at thesilhouettesofsuccess.com or connect with us on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. We're grateful that you tuned in. Remember, you are exactly where you need to be, right here with us. This is the Amber Weitzer podcast, Silhouettes of Success.